After a remarkable 8-5 season in year one under Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech Red Raiders come in at number 19 in our way too early top 25 and are the first Big 12 team that we are previewing in our schedule preview series. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, where we are ready to break down everything you need to know for Texas Tech's schedule heading into 2023, what should be a big year for them and a big year for the Big 12. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, guys. Here at the Gridiron Expert, football never dies. So we know the Super Bowl might be over, we know college football might be over, but we have non-stop football content for you year-round, guys. So from now all the way until the season, and even when next season's over, 24/7, 365, college football and NFL football, it lives here, never dies at the Gridiron Expert. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss any of our future content going forward, so you can become a part of our GE Nation. So Texas Tech, guys, we take a look at them. It was a great year for Joey McGuire. Coming up from, the high school ranks, was at Baylor as an assistant for a little while, now at Texas Tech, a remarkable recruiter. 8-5, capped off with a 42-25 victory over Ole Miss in the Texas Bowl. Now expecting to have Tyler Shough back at quarterback, which is huge for them, a loaded wide receiver core, and what should be an improved defense. The Red Raiders expected to have around 9 starters back on offense, about 7 back on defense, and this could shape up to be a very special year in what will once again be a wide open Big 12, especially now with the addition of the new teams. We see BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, all making their Big 12 debuts this season. What will Texas Tech do with that slate? Well, you take a look at their schedule, guys. It's pretty favorable. It really is. First thing you should know is that the Red Raiders do avoid Oklahoma and they do avoid Cincinnati. So they do not face arguably the best newcomer coming in, and they don't face what should be an improved Oklahoma team this season. So they avoid them on the schedule. Open up the year at Wyoming. Interesting to go on the road to Wyoming. Shouldn't be too much of an issue there. The Oregon game is where you're going to see what this Texas Tech team is truly made of, right? An Oregon team that by week 2 could be a top 10 team to start the year. It should be a top 10 team to go into week 2. The Tyler Shough, obviously, relationship there. Shough playing at Oregon, then transferring to Texas Tech, so he's going to be going up against his former team. And the Red Raiders getting to host them in Lubbock, so that's a very exciting time for them as well. A potential top 20, top 15 matchup against the Ducks. An opportunity to get a huge resume boosting win and maybe kind of show if the Red Raiders are for real or not. Should they be taken seriously as a national contender, or are they really going to have to focus more on just Big 12 play? So the Oregon game going to be very, very tough and a good measuring stick for what this season could be for Joey McGuire in year 2. Tarleton State, not a big deal. On the road at West Virginia, poised to struggle again probably. Texas Tech won 48-10 over the Mountaineers last year. And then they go into a very key stretch here, but not the overall key stretch. Houston at Baylor, Kansas State at BYU. Very tough games, but for us, not the defining stretch of the season. They take on Houston, who they beat by 3 in overtime last year. They get to host the Cougars this time around. They then go to Baylor, who they lost to by a lot, 45-17 last year. A Baylor team that really did not live up to expectations. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what Dave Aranda is able to do in terms of getting his team back into Big 12 title contention. They take on the reigning Big 12 champions in Kansas State, who they only fell to by 9 last year. And then they go on the road to BYU, which is always going to be a very difficult place to play. And it'll be very interesting to see how the Cougars fare now, not as an independent, but now as a member of the Big 12. So a tough slate there, but I mean, getting Kansas State at home is really key. Getting a good Kansas State team at home, one that, again, won the Big 12 last year, went to the Sugar Bowl last year, is huge for Texas Tech. Getting Houston at home is huge for them. The Baylor-BYU road slate isn't easy, but it certainly could be worse, right? Certainly could be worse, and we're not making predictions here, but I could easily see the Red Raiders winning both, if not at least one of those road games. The key stretch for me for Texas Tech and what's going to ultimately define the season as to whether or not they are legitimate Big 12 title contenders or will be middle of the pack again around 7-5 or 8-4 is the whole month of November. That 4-game stretch right after the bye week, that is so key for Joey McGuire and his team. They got TCU, the national runner-up last year, didn't win the Big 12, but still went to the playoff and fell to Georgia in the national championship. Texas Tech lost to them by 10 last year. on the road at Kansas, a team they beat 43-28, but Kansas no longer a pushover, no longer at the bottom of the Big 12. They have to be viewed as a legitimate threat now after finally getting back to the postseason for the first time since 2008. They take on UCF on senior night. So UCF, newcomer now, tough offense there. So Texas Tech hasn't fixed their defense. Could be an interesting high-scoring game against the Knights. And then, of course, on the road at Texas, they did beat the Longhorns by 3 in overtime last year. That game took place earlier in the year. Now it's going to be the season finale, and we expect, most people do, better things out of Texas. Whether or not they live up to those expectations, well, that's another story. But that month of November is very, very tough. I mean, all those teams very well could be ranked heading into November. I would expect TCU and Texas to at least be ranked teams in the month of November, at least as of right now. The Texas game on the road will be very tough. The Kansas game, that road environment, not too hostile. So when you really look at the road environment, it's not brutal for Texas Tech. Wyoming, not too worried about that. West Virginia, not too worried about that. At BYU and Baylor is tough. And then at Texas, there are really only 3 tough road matchups for the Red Raiders. Their biggest games come at home, just like the Houston, Kansas State, and TCU games. So that month of November, though, is going to be so crucial because there's a chance that Texas Tech enters the month of November as a 1 or 2 loss team. And if one of those losses was to Oregon, it's not going to affect their chances to make the Big 12 championship game. So that's where they're going to have to do their damage, is in the month of November, whether they can really rise to the top of the Big 12 standings or they kind of fall apart and have a mediocre season. Another solid bowl berth, but not exactly where they want to be. Tough slate in those final 4 games for the Red Raiders, but they certainly have the offense to do it. It's a really favorable schedule, all things said and done, because you look at the road slate, it's not terrible. You avoid Oklahoma, you avoid Cincinnati. This is a Texas Tech team that easily, to me, could win 8 games at least in the regular season, although they have their sights set on more. And of course, we will have our official Texas Tech prediction, game-by-game prediction for the Red Raiders later on in the summer. All the more reason to hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any of our content going forward. So guys, there you have it, a brief Texas Tech schedule preview. The Red Raiders come in at number 19 in our way too early top 25. The Big 12 once again wide open in 2023. The Red Raiders could be this year's Kansas State, a team that's going to fly under the radar but shock everybody by season's end. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Thank you again for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing the videos. That's what helps us grow. That's what helps you become a part of our GE Nation, because here, guys, at the Gridiron Expert, football never dies. This is the place for you if you love the game of football. 24/7, 365 content all the time. Become a part of our nation. Share it. Love it. Talk it with us. Let's get it going. The season will be here before we know it. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.